right, so let's predict Money in the Bank. First up, we got the Usos versus the Street Profits for the Tag Team Championships.
Well, I wasn't really sure on this one for a little while because I was like, could they actually book the Street Profits? Because they actually did. So it's two interesting things they've done in the story building this up, and that is mention that the Street Profits have not had much success at all against the Usos ever, which
it's true.
Usually when that happens, that they're telling you that for a reason. But on this most recent Go Home show here on SmackDown, when they had their promo back to back, Kayla Braxton in the question said, whoever her source is was talking about, is it true that you guys aren't getting along towards the Street Profits?
What?
And when they planted that seed for nothing, really, it really made me wonder. I'm like, okay, so they keep harping on the fact that the Street Profits are hungry. They really want this tag title run. It's been 100 and some days since they were champions. I'm thinking that
ain't that long.
Exactly, it's not. But I'm thinking, that we go with the Usos retaining here, and possibly I don't necessarily know if they're gonna do it right then. I don't think you should because I don't think they've teased it enough. But I think they need to fall here, and you continue to play up the angst or whatever it is between Montez and Angelo, because we haven't really seen it on television, really, in my opinion. And they mentioned it on Kayla mentioned it out of nowhere like that.
Well, everybody been giving
unprovoked
Tez props on his body. We got The Rock out here talking about it. So her source is probably Bianca.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Bianca out here like, nah, they ain't really getting along.
Hold on, don't put her in there. Don't do that. Don't do Bianca.
It's B. It's B. She out here stirring the pot.
Don't do her like that. But I will say, like I said, I think we've all talked about it for a while now, or anyone can see it, that Montez is going to be awesome, or he can be awesome on his own.
Not to say that
I don't
Angelo
know if it's
can't.
not his time. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know what it is when it comes to that. I don't necessarily think you do it now either, but you don't plant that seed. You don't say something like that for nothing.
No.
Do
they just not care about these tag team titles? I know they don't, but there is literally nobody else. Who's such scared of the Viking Raiders?
I mean,
the new vicious Viking Raiders.
Well, they the only new team in the situation. Well, not new, but because the thing is, they're new, but it's like it's funny because I guess WWE want us to forget that the Usos just made them look like nothing not too over the SmackDown titles before they joined them up. They beat them and just basically kicked them off the show.
Yeah, that's
for
exactly
a few months. So, but they're not going to be fighting anytime soon because they're vicious now. And the Usos are going to continue to be heels most likely with Roman. So they're not going to fight soon. So I don't know. Probably some impromptu team. Probably something to do with Riddle down the line.
Trash.
Maybe. I'm telling. This is WWE we're talking about.
They're
the definition of just making makeshift teams. So anything is possible. But I don't think they need to do it now. Though. We don't have to worry about that. I don't think the Street Profits are going to break up right now. I just don't think they're going to win.
All right, so I agree with you. I think the Usos gonna win, but I think it's gonna be some nefarious deeds.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely not a clean win because they gotta extend this out. Next up, we've got Theory versus Bob Lash for the U.S. Championship.
Bobby's looked so strong going into this. It's really, really making me worried because I'm like, all right, I think Bobby can win this title. And the thing is, though, and I don't know what their long-term plans are for Bobby. If he is a United States champion, what do you give him to do? Do you continue to feud with Theory going forward into SummerSlam? Are they going to pull the trigger on Cena in Theory in SummerSlam like people thought? I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case because I feel like they probably would already be I guess they did technically kind of build it on that show, but I feel like if Cena was coming back, Vince would already be saying, hey, he'll be here next week because he want that rating pop. So that's my only thought process about that. I don't really know, man. This was really, really tough. I just wrote down Theory because I'm thinking since Bobby has looked so strong here, Theory cheating him won't necessarily take away from who Bobby is. So I'm going through some type of distraction. Maybe Vince sends some help out. I don't know. Anything to take advantage of Bob in a way. That's the only way I can see it happening. Because I don't know. I don't necessarily know if you take the belt off Theory quite yet. Even though, honestly, I would not mind it if Bobby won. It's just, again, I feel like you got more plans going forward with Theory than you possibly have with Bobby either way. So, Theory.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the opposite pick. I think Bob is going to get it because they kind of took away the Roman thing. So it's like, here's a consolation prize, one, and then I really just don't like Austin Theory, so I'm picking with my heart.
See, there we go. And that's the only reason why I didn't pick Bob either. Because I'm like, I feel like I'm just flat out picking who I like or who I would want to win. While, in this case, I can see them going with the company guy.
Yeah, I got you. Next up, we got Ronda Rousey versus Natalya for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
I give Natty and I guess Ronda also their props on socials for trying to continue to build this. It hasn't been they're not without cringe because they both can be very cringe.
Natty's so corny.
But like I said, I think Natty, the story they're telling or whatever, especially with the video package they showed last night, it seemed like you look at that video package, you would think this was just
a festering
awesome
rivalry.
storytelling, right? But anyway, I'm going with Ronda. I don't think anyone expects Natty to win. I think it'll be a nice shock to do if you wanted to shock everyone, but it's just no way, right? It's Ronda. So I don't really have much to say on I don't think there's any deep thought that have to really be put into this.
I agree. Ronda's gonna win. Next up, we've got Bianca versus Carmella for the Raw Women's Championship.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of Rhea Ripley's injury, this is another one that's kind of like the last match where it's like, there's no way B's losing, right? And if you wanted to give Carmella the belt for like shock reasons, fine. But I promise you, it's just hard for me to delete this out of my head, especially when they was at Rolling Loud and Bianca was jobbing Carmella out for the 16th time. That's so it's just like, are you really trying to convince me that the person she just straight up dog walked her entire run on SmackDown is going to up and beat her all of a sudden? I don't forget that easily. I promise you. And that just shows you that they're not as deep anymore. But, of course, this is a last-minute situation. I don't mind Carmella being in the spot. She is solid enough in the ring and, got pretty good at getting heat. So this could be okay, but I'm still going Bianca.
I agree, easily. Next up, we've got the women's Money in the Bank ladder match with Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Asuka, Shotzi. Oh, I forgot they took her last name away, and Becky Lynch.
Yeah. So I'm going with Becky Lynch. I just want to go ahead and just give my pick. This is really one of the hardest one to predict. I didn't really know where to go, in all honesty. It's just like I was thinking about it, and I'm like, do they want to do what they did just last year and give a baby face the briefcase, and then it end up fizzling out? And I'm not saying it would if it was Liv here, but I've just seen this story too many times. WWE seem to do a much better job of booking heels in this situation. But I don't know. Maybe I'm picking wrong here too, because it's just tough. Like, Liv is a great choice, and I really think she probably should be the choice, because, when is she going to get that moment? But I do think the more she fails, that also can kind of play in her favor too, in a way. But I guess you don't want her to fail too much either. So it's a fine line, man. It's a fine line. But in this ladder match, I don't think anybody will be like, Liv, you weak. You lost the Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, no. It's going to be, 6 losers. So, You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily – I'm going with Becky just because it feels like going into it, the people who have the most active storyline is Becky Lynch. And like I said, Liv is kind of in that deserving spot. I don't necessarily know if Raquel – I don't think Raquel is ready or that she even really needs it, but that's also a possibility. Alexa is the wild card for me because I don't think she needs it, whatever, but she definitely always can win. So it's just tough. I feel like if you're not going to build Liv Morgan up as a star and give her an accomplishment, then you can give Becky the only thing she doesn't have. And I think her teasing Ronda or Bianca over the next few months can be great TV.
I don't agree with Becky because I'm going to pick somebody different. But there's only 2 heels in this match.
Yeah.
There's Shotzi and there's Becky.
Pretty much.
And we've got 2 babyface
and whatever you want to call Lacey. Whatever Lacey is. Because they claim she's something else, but they're booking her still like she's a face, so whatever.
Yeah. I don't know about Lacey. But I'm gonna pick Shotzi because she was a locker room leader in that one skit I saw.
Oh Lord, no. Okay.
And
she's the one I'm giving no shot.
I know. That's why I was like,
she's taking all the pins. So you saying she's been getting, embarrassed, so like she's gonna step up and surprise everyone?
Yeah.
It'll be a good surprise. And like you said, again, I think in a similar way of what I was talking about with Liv, it would elevate someone. So I wouldn't have a problem with that because it's fresh, but I still think it'll be a big surprise. I don't know. I really couldn't decide here, so I just went with who I think WWE favors the most. But it was hard. This was really hard.
I agree. And I'm just choosing Shotzi because I want to see her do better, and she is a heel. And if she got this position, I think it would be good for her overall character, give her something to go with.
I mean, she needs something.
She needs something.
Honestly.
She got to stop going around saying she's ballsy.
I mean, she's probably not going to stop that part.
No. Let me finish.
I'm saying, go ahead.
She has to stop doing that, but then not getting the results.
Yeah. Even, and then she's not even consistently on TV enough for us to know she's ballsy.
That's true. I remember when she went over in NXT against Shayna Baszler. So I had more expectations for Shotzi on the main roster than what I've currently seen, and I just want her to.
You're remembering things different, not differently, but
she didn't win.
She was a babyface though.
Yeah.
She shined really, really brightly in NXT as a face. So once they brought her to the main roster and they made her kind of do something that what we're not necessarily accustomed to seeing her do, not necessarily saying she can't do it or hasn't been doing a good job. It's just it was different. So I don't necessarily know if WWE knows what they want to do. You remember she came in as a tag team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Honestly, we talked about this before. She's been on the SmackDown roster and they have not fleshed out
her character at all.
They've not fleshed out her, Zaya, Aaliyah. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the newer faces on SmackDown, they haven't really fleshed them out anyway. At all.
Okay. Last match of the night, we've got the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We've got Seth Rollins, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Omos, Sami Zayn, Matthew Riddle, and Madcap Moss.
This was another tough one, but only because I believe it's really three viable winners. Seth Rollins, obviously. Riddle, because of the way he's been depicted on television and how much the people really seem to be getting behind him.
He can't. He can't though.
What you mean? He can't. Oh, but he can't even challenge Roman. He would have to hold the brief. So that actually can disqualify him. Actually, now that I think about it, because I think he would have to hold the briefcase until Roman loses. And if Riddle wins, does that mean Brock has to win to make him even a threat? So yeah, that's fair. I guess they can disqualify him. But what I'm trying to say is, but based on the way he's been booked so far, he's an option. No one else is even close, almost, other than him. Sami Zayn, in my opinion, because of the conundrum with the bloodline and all that. I do think that'll make good television.
Yeah.
And like I said, Seth Rollins, because of the mind games he can play with Roman going forward. And the fact that since Roman has never beaten him, he is a legitimate threat, and we know that match is going to happen somewhere. Or somehow. And I love Drew, and I think he's a great option. Also, the thing is, I just don't necessarily know. Drew's been so close to getting his shot, or at least he's been deserving of this shot for so long. You're right. The Money in the Bank would be a way for him to usurp that, but I just don't necessarily want him to win it and then just cash it in, announce it pre-time, and you know what I mean? Or he says he's going to do it literally after the last man standing match at SummerSlam, and I've never seen anyone be so detailed about what they're going to do with the briefcase and they actually be able to win it and do everything. Like, you can do it that way. Like, he was so detailed in what he was going to do to where I think that kind of spoiled it for me that Drew would actually win it, because I'm like, okay. Well, if he's literally telling me now that he's going to try to cash in at SummerSlam, then I don't necessarily know. Now, I mean, it is an idea. He win it, cash in at SummerSlam, and then he goes into these next few shows as champion, and it's possible, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just counting Drew out. I wouldn't be mad if Drew win it, though. I want to tell you guys that right now. But I'm going with Seth Rollins. I think he's the strongest choice. Much in the same way that I said with Becky, I think him going forward, teasing Roman Reigns and all of that can be compelling television. You can get more Seth Rollins on your TV screen, most likely, because Roman goes to both shows. Seth should be allowed to tease him on both shows. We'll see. But I don't know. This Money in the Banks were toss-ups, and maybe I'm peeking with my heart when I say Seth here because I feel like he deserves it. You know what I'm saying? It's still one of those things where I was just like, I had to go with Seth Rollins. It's just hard for me to rationalize anybody else without thinking about how it would compare to what if Seth won. And then also, I think going forward, Seth definitely can just jump into another feud just the same way anybody else can. But I think having Money in the Bank around also would just be too good of an opportunity to miss, in my opinion. But, I could be wrong. That's the thing about these Money in the Bank when you got 7-8 people, in the match. Anything can happen. I assume we're going to get awesome matches, though, and I think that's what we want at the end of the day. So that's my Money in the Bank predictions. Take it to the bank. Pun intended, I guess.